My son thought I was too old-fashioned to meet his friends and worried I would embarrass him. I stayed silent, gave a small smile, and quietly walked away. I didn't argue or make a scene. Sometimes the people we support the most are the ones who forget us first. Before I share my full story, let me know where you're watching from and make sure to like the video to support me. My name is Eleanor. I am 70 years old. I spent most of my life taking care of my son, James. I raised him alone after my husband died. I gave him everything I could. I worked hard, stayed strong, and made sure he never felt alone. When James was a baby, my life changed. I woke up early, stayed up late, and worked long hours to care for him. I watched him grow from a little boy into a strong young man. I went to every school play and every soccer game. I clapped the loudest. I wanted him to feel loved and supported. James's college graduation was one of the proudest days of my life. I saved money and bought him a car. It felt right. I wanted him to know I believed in him and his future. I thought we were close. I thought we understood each other. But as he grew older, I started to feel a little left out. I tried to stay connected. I learned how to use a smartphone. I joined social media. I wanted to be part of his world. I wanted to stay close. One day, James invited me to dinner at his new apartment. He said he wanted me to meet his friends. I was so happy. I dressed carefully and arrived early. His apartment was lively and full of laughter. His friends were polite, and I did my best to join their conversations. But later that evening, I overheard James speaking to one of his friends. He said I was too old-fashioned, and that he was scared I would embarrass him. Those words crushed me. I smiled, said nothing, and quietly left. I didn't argue. I didn't cause a scene. I just went home. On the bus ride home, I stared out the window. I thought about everything I had done for James. All the sacrifices. All the love. I wondered if he even saw it. I felt invisible. I felt like I didn't belong in his life anymore. When I got home, the silence was heavy. I looked around the house filled with memories of James growing up. Photos of birthdays, holidays, school events. I had built my whole world around him. That night, I lay awake in bed. I thought about my life. I realized I had given up so much of myself to be a good mother. I had lost pieces of who I was. I decided something needed to change. I could not live through James anymore. I needed to find myself again. A few days later, I asked to meet James. I needed to speak to him. I needed to explain how I felt. We met at a small cafe. I told him calmly how much his words had hurt me. I told him I had spent my life supporting him. I told him I needed to take back my car. Not out of anger, but because I needed to reclaim something for myself. James was shocked. He didn't understand at first. He thought I was overreacting. But I stood firm. I needed him to see that I was more than just his mother. I was a person with dreams and feelings too. The conversation was hard, but necessary. I left feeling lighter. I had spoken my truth. After that, I focused on rebuilding my life. I started gardening again. I planted flowers and vegetables. It felt good to care for something and watch it grow. I joined a local book club and made new friends. I found joy in reading and in the simple act of sharing stories with others. I picked up an old hobby, painting. I painted landscapes and sunsets. It gave me peace. Little by little, I began to find myself. James sent short messages from time to time. I answered kindly but kept my distance. I needed space to continue growing. I hoped he would one day understand, but I knew I had to live for myself now. One afternoon, weeks later, James came to visit. He looked different. There was something softer in his eyes. He sat down and apologized. He said he realized he had taken me for granted. He said he was sorry for hurting me. His words were sincere. I listened. I told him about my journey, about how I needed to find who I was beyond being his mother. He listened too. For the first time, I felt he really saw me, not just as mom, but as Eleanor. We talked about the future, about building a new relationship based on respect and understanding. It gave me hope. After he left, I sat in my living room and smiled. I realized I had come a long way. I was proud of myself. I had found the strength to reclaim my life. I had built a new beginning. Every morning, I woke up feeling lighter. I tended my garden. I painted. I met my friends for book club. I took walks in the park. I learned to enjoy the small things. A warm cup of tea. A blooming flower. A good story. I was no longer just someone's mother. I was Eleanor. And for the first time in a long time, I felt truly alive. The future was still uncertain, but I wasn't afraid anymore. I had learned that it was never too late to start again. This was my story. A story of love, sacrifice, and rediscovery. A story of finding myself after a lifetime of giving. I was Eleanor, and I was finally free.